Last week, we got all gussied up and went out and made such a mistake. We didn't take a picture of us all gussied up and out, Kelly.
I know. I did take a picture. I posted on my Instagram a little selfie because I was so proud of myself because I was able to go out. I had makeup on. My hair was combed because we did such a cool night at Wolf Trap to support their fundraising.
Yeah, their education programs. They usually have Bourbon and Bubbles event that raises money to support their education programs and to support all that goes on at Wolf Trap, which is, of course, the only national park in the country for the performing arts. Like all venues and all education programs, things have gotten different for them. But their team, they got smart, they got creative, and they reimagined Bourbon and Bubbles to be Bourbon in Bubbles. And so they got those giant igloos and they set it up and they welcomed people in pods in safe social distance with a reimagined event that was really cool. And what I thought was also awesome, they featured Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey, which Uncle Nearest has an incredible story of its very own. And Tracy Franklin from the brand told us all about this awesome heritage.
Well, today we are at the Wolf Trap charity fundraiser called Bourbon in Bubbles. So we've got these beautiful bubbles where people are actually going to be doing some blind tastings with bourbons and tasting some really beautiful vintage champagnes. And I am here to introduce some of our guests to Uncle Nearest. So Nathan Nearest Green was the enslaved man who taught Jack Daniels how to distill whiskey. And I am currently working with the company and with Jack Daniels to become a distiller myself. There's a reason it wasn't forgotten, and that's because Jack Daniels actually continued to talk about Nathan Nearest Green throughout his history. His family then took up that mantle and continued to talk about Nathan. They didn't want that legacy forgotten. So I'm really glad that it's able to come back up and that we're able to honor him today with an actual whiskey with his name on it. And one of the cool things about Nathan Green is that he actually was born in Maryland. So he was born an enslaved man, and from the census we figured out that he was born in Maryland and then was actually taken to Tennessee, where he created the Lincoln County process and made that famous.
I, for one, did not know that. That was like, what a revelation. Apparently, it came out in 2016. There was a big article in the New York Times, but that's where Uncle Nearest, the brand, came from. And it's the first premium whiskey, the first whiskey brand to be run by a woman of color, and their whole board is female and minority. And it's really awesome that Jack Daniels this whole time, kept that storyline going too and didn't forget about Nathan Nearest Green. You learn all kinds of things at Wolf Trap. My goodness.
Yeah, Jack Daniels too. That just gives you a whole different view of the brand and the person. That's a really cool story.
It's awesome. And we were just sitting around and we were chatting at a safe social distance. By the way, everyone had masks on. I asked them to take their mask off safely for the interviews.
Our work in early childhood education has really been focused on 3, 4, 5, 6-year-olds, and it has been for over 30 years. And while we generally are in classrooms with teachers and working with them in their own environments around the country, this year, of course, everything is remote and digital. So we did what everyone else had to do, which is pivot quickly to a lot of digital distribution. And because we know parents are at home with their children and are looking for ways to be engaged and stimulating, we've also started to push out a video on our own website that anyone can access. Parents can access that anytime they like, and just gives them another thing to do with their children at home. We are a concert venue, of course, but we really are a resource. We're an arts resource, an education resource, a good neighbor, a good citizen. And so we look at it as if there's a need that we can fill, we have to fill it. And in this case, with education at least, it's given us something really positive when there's so much negative around us, not being able to do the events. All of our fundraising has a huge impact on our ability to deliver education services. We're delivering services and education around the country, often in the communities of most need. It also helps us stay strong as an organization and being able to do the planning work for next summer so that when we're safe and able to be back with each other, we will be ready.
Their education programs are just awesome.
Yes, it's an incredible team of people that I think just an example of that event. It was all hands on deck. Everybody from the top down was working to put those bubbles up in the pouring rain, because you'll remember the days before it was like dumping rain.
That's right.
And they were out there making sure it was perfect night, which it was, and the weather cleared, and they're just amazing. And they were so excited to welcome people back to Wolf Trap. and they did a great job of making sure everyone was safe and wearing masks and everything was clean and all the things that we need to do these days.
And it's wild to think too, in the DC area, we think of Wolf Trap as this incredible gem for performing arts, but it's the only national park in the country for the performing arts. And so their programming, their educational programming goes out across the country, and people from sea to shining sea are using Wolf Trap's materials, which is really cool. And Arvind Manocha, the CEO, is just he just got like a sense of humor. We sat down and I was like, so how has it been going? And he's like, oh, it's been great. It's been awesome. How's it been going for you? He's like, no, it's been tough. And I was like, well, yeah, that was kind of a dumb question, wasn't it? But we appreciate the sense of humor. And also a little fact to take with you into the wild, fam. If you're maybe not like a bourbon person, maybe that's not the first thing you grab. I really enjoyed tasting it responsibly at the event, but I asked Tracy for some tips and pointers of how to sound smart should you, encounter some bourbons this holiday season.
One of the things I like to remind people is you only taste 5 things: sweet, sour, salt, bitter, umami. That's all you taste. When you add that aroma, that's when you start to get your vanillas, your caramels, your toffees. Pretty much if you have a bourbon in front of you when you're blind tasting, if you say there is caramel, there is vanilla, and then you could say maybe apple or cherry, pretty much you're on, and everyone's going to think you're right and you know exactly what you're talking about. If you find something that's very aromatic, you can just say, wow, this has a lot of congeners in it. So congeners are the chemicals that create flavor in a bourbon. So there's a little buzzword for you to throw out.
Yeah, the old congeners. Got to make sure you're keeping an eye on those congeners. That's for sure.
I do like that it has hints of apple. So that makes sense because I like to put a hot apple cider with a little bit of bourbon. Delicious. And you're drinking out of your coffee mug right now, Tommy. Are you drinking some bourbon?
No, maybe. You don't know what's in my coffee mug. Oh, my coffee mug? Oh, this mug? You can put whatever you want in this mug from our swag shop, our holiday swag shop with mugs and masks for you to check out and enjoy. Is that what you're talking about, Kelly? Think of all the congeners you can fit into a Real Fun DC mug at realfundc.com/swag.
It is perfect for hot cider with a little bit of bourbon.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. Look at that. It's all set. You can check it out. Many different styles and many different looks. This is not too overstated. It's not like blah logo. It's all put into the decor there. Look
It's
at
a
that.
shameless plug.
Look at that. Are there any other kind? We'll be right back. DC Central Kitchen's Capital Food Fight goes virtual. Join Kelly Collis, me, Tommy McFly, along with Jose Andres and Chef Spike Mendelson as we bring the culinary battle to your screen. CapitalFoodFight.org to support the DC Central Kitchen and bid on their silent auction. Watch the Capital Food Fight on Wednesday, November 18th. CapitalFoodFight.org.